A serious medical condition that negatively affects how you feel, the way you think, and how you act. No, I'm not talking about Taco Bell. I'm talking about depression. We've all had it. The blues, boredom, that awful, awful feeling. Join us and try not to feel too down. Thanks.
So I'm Dan.
And I'm Nick, folks.
We're old friends dissecting one topic at a time. People, technology, media, we've got it all covered.
Each discussion here is a deep dive into our unique perspective. Taboo, forbidden subjects, they're all on the chopping block, baby. We don't pander to popular opinion. We might even get a little bit dirty.
Warning, this podcast may contain mature language and sexual content, and is for infotainment purposes only.
So join us. Have a good time.
Open up your ear holes, because we're going to fondle your follicles.
Hey, ho.
Hey,
Pour one for the kipper. Pour one for the kipper, he did. Pour one for the kipper. Pour one for me. It's an old British song, maybe.
Yeah. Just keep pouring them. Just keep pouring them.
Anyway, I'm trying to lighten the mood, you know. We're doing a real dark episode here.
Yeah.
Clown tent. That's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah. Is there something inside of it? Is there a clown? We'll find out. We'll find out. So we're going to talk about what? Sadness, depression, a little bit of anxiety, drugs, abuse, full circle, suicide.
Ugh.
So if you're going to be a downer, better take your uppers. Level it out.
They used to do that. That's how you would deal with suicide back in the day. I think it was pretty much just like, cheer up, here's some cocaine. I mean, something like it. I don't think it was exactly cocaine.
It's probably just,
definitely.
Yeah, it was probably Coca-Cola, which had cocaine in it. And they're like, drink your Coke. Have a Coke.
Could be. Or like Requiem for a Dream, where his mom's like, she's got all sorts of issues, but she wants to lose weight to get in the red dress.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to wear the red dress. You on uppers, Ma? You crying your teeth? Ma, you on uppers? I gotta sell your TV.
Just rapidly vacuuming. Jitterbug.
That's one way to cure depression.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about sadness, like the function of sadness.
Okay. Like the Disney Pixar movie?
Yeah, Inside Out.
Yeah. I actually kind of thought that was the weirdest take on sadness I ever seen, because like the whole first half of the movie, I rooted against her pretty bad. I'm sorry. Wasn't it? What's her name from The Office?
It was.
Yeah. I don't remember her real name, but yeah.
I'll have to look her up now.
Anyway, she's always like touching the things and turning everything blue, and all the happy memories just get coated in sadness. And it's like, why did you need to touch that?
Phyllis.
You didn't need to. Phyllis. Yeah, it was Phyllis.
Yes, Phyllis Smith.
I'm sorry. Oops, did I touch that and turn it blue? She has a perfect sadness. That was good voice.
Yeah, that is really good.
that was good. Is Amy Poehler?
Yes, as Joy.
Whatever, is it Joy?
Yeah.
That was a good movie, cute movie, a little weird, you know, but.
No, I love that movie. So the function of sadness was what? To shine light on the negative parts of life and.
I guess because
evoke a change.
She almost, I guess.
Distorted it.
She did, and she turned those like core memories that were happy sad, but they didn't go away. But it was like there's something to be happy and sad. Like you can be sad about something
bittersweet.
Being over. Yeah, a bittersweet
symphony.
And that's, they were sued, you know.
They were.
Yeah. For that song, yeah, there was a ripoff in that song.
What? Okay, huh?
Yeah, I feel like people under 20 who watch us won't get anything we say.
No, it's okay.
Look it up, history. Folks. Talk to your parents. Bittersweet Symphony. I'm a million different people from one day to the next.
So life is a bittersweet of sadness and joy. Yeah. It's a mixture.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess you need one for the other, right? Because if you're sad one day, You know the feeling of happiness
Oh, come
the
on.
next day.
You know the quote. You know what quote you want to go with.
Oh, what is that? Was that a Vanilla Sky movie?
Yes, it is. Oh, he knew the quote, folks. I didn't even set him up for this.
Yeah.
You can't have the sweet without the sour. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't have it. Nothing. We talked about
Nothing
taste
is as
buds,
sweet
folks.
without the sour.
Yeah, it's something. You need one to have the other.
Yeah.
If your whole life was sweet stuff, you wouldn't understand. There would be no contrast. It would just be the same every day.
Mm-hmm.
If you have
Exactly.
some sour, ooh, you make that face, that guitar face, like if you're doing a guitar solo, you make that face. Me and Ben referred to it as stink face.
Trying to get your face out of that skunk's ass. Trying to get away
Yeah,
from it.
that's what
Yeah.
you look like. Real quick, I did have a correction from the last episode.
Sure.
So, was it last episode we did death? Or the one before that?
One before that.
So I knew we were doing it on death. And I was riding my bike. I did a 10-mile run outdoors. I'm the man. I'm the man. I'm the man. I passed by 4 dead things, and I purposely smelled them all. I didn't stop biking to do it, but I purposely smelled them. Yeah, oh yeah, I took a big whiff. Whew. You couldn't even smell the squirrel. No big deal. Who cares? It smelled like almost nothing.
I forgot about the death flower. It's not called it's a corpse flower.
Oh yeah, the corpse flower. It smells like a corpse. It's awful.
Should have mentioned that.
You should have.
I'm gonna have to have an episode on corpses.
just corpses, animating them, dancing with them.
Weekend at
Anyway,
Bernie's.
the next animal I smelled was a raccoon, and it smelled pretty bad.
Hmm.
Not terrible because I was biking by
Just
it.
depends what stage it's at. If it's at like the moist stage where it's off gassing, some nice juices, you probably smell it pretty well.
So over at like the big conglomerate chemical company who can't clean up their deer carcasses, there was like a big old deer, and it was getting to the phase where it was turning black, like most of the insides, and they were just black. But it was nasty, dude. That smelled like bad hoagie and like farts and like some weird, I don't know, like gasoline type smell. And that almost made me sick, but I breathed it in for the podcast, and I never got to bring it up in the episode. There you go, folks. I did research. The bigger something is when it dies, the worse it smells, is my idea. Like a blue whale would smell like,
oh,
God.
Seen those ones where they blow up because all the gas inside, and then someone pokes it with a stick and it just explodes all over them.
Really?
Yeah. Lovely.
There's a town in Dishonored 2 that makes all their money off of gutting whales to make whale oil, some kind of oil that
they sell it back to the whales.
They use it to power all their stuff that stops me from progressing in the levels, which is ironic.
Oh.
It has dead whale guts, like, and whales everywhere, and red blood and flies everywhere in the city, and it's like good detail. Good job, Dishonored 2.
Huh.
It actually looks like it smells bad. I can't smell it, but if I did, it would smell bad. So back to depression.
Yeah, the sweet is never as sweet without the sour.
It isn't. Is that what it is? The exact quote?
Yep.
Isn't that what I said? I feel like
it's close, but not right.
Not right. Incorrect. Incorrect, but incorrect.
Let's talk about, I guess, low points or the beginning. Get out of here, Microsoft Drive. Hey, pop-ups. Damn pop-ups. I hate Microsoft.
Did you know
Paul
children? He
died.
died.
He died. Yeah, he died today.
Oh, Jesus. That was harsh.
Sorry.
Sorry. Give him a rough goodbye.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh,
children.
Children can be diagnosed with anxiety, and they say 25% of kids aged 13 to 18 have some sort of anxiety issue right now.
So how old do you think someone needs to be for them to be diagnosed? Like, because I feel like if you get diagnosed that early,
4 or something,
you could get fixated on that drug.
I don't disagree. Do you know kids can get diagnosed with ADHD, but like my kid has like almost an asthma, but they won't legally call it asthma because he's too young. So because they won't give him drugs. He's under 5. So he has an inhaler that like helps him with his seasonal stuff, like, you know, when he starts hacking and coughing. It's not considered asthma until he's like 7 or something, because half the time these kids just grow out of it. Their lungs are too small, like the pathways will change because they're still growing.
Body's changing.
I think the same will go for like if your kid has ADHD or whatever at age 4 and 5 and all that. they're like, he's sort of hyperactive and he might get it in 2 years, but we're not going to diagnose it because he's still changing.
So I heard a story about people taking kids into foster care, and if a kid has a medical issue, then the foster family actually gets more money. So if you can prove that he has something as simple as ADHD and he's taking medication for it, then that family can gain more money and maybe help the kid using that money. Maybe. Probably not if they're going to abuse the system like that. But
probably not.
It makes you question, like, my son's jumping all over the place. He's rambunctious. A nice word. So how do you... I don't know how you diagnose like a 5-year-old as being ADHD, because I think they're all ADHD to some extent.
Yeah, that's totally a good point. And they're going to change. Their physiological, biological, their genetics are still getting rearranged and all that. Whew. I guess I don't know. But did you hear my child quote was age 13 to 18? Do you think you are by then?
Do you think you are diagnosable with what, asthma? I mean, asthma, yeah.
Sure.
But
I was also going with anxiety disorders. So I have a list of anxiety disorders I'll run through real quick.
Yeah,
And then
I mean, I've been anxious up until now.
You meant in your life. Like this episode.
Yeah.
I was like, you really? Okay.
In this episode too. Good thing I didn't do the intro. It gets me nervous.
Yeah. I did the intro.
Yeah.
I remember it was.
I was anxious.
Well, my last intro was a bomb, so I guess this one went off pretty good. So there's one called generalized anxiety disorder. This is like one of the more common ones that people just have. It doesn't matter how old you are or anything else. 3.1% of I think these are all United States. So 3.1% of the United States. It's still a lot of people.
Yeah,
right. Hundreds of millions, right? Or just millions?
Dozens. Like 10 million probably. Maybe.
Okay, 10 million is a lot of people. Next, I got panic disorder. That's where like you have these panic attacks. It's like a diagnosable thing. 2.7% of people. Not a big number, but that's people.
I could understand that.
Sure. Social anxiety disorder. It starts at age 13. That's roughly when it starts getting able to be diagnosed, and it happens a lot. 6.8% and very much on the rise. I thought that was kind of crazy.
It's because people are no longer forced to meet their fear, right? Because they no longer have to interact with people to make them socially adept.
Social, like, whatchamacall? Online way you do? Or can you still avoid it? We'll get into that.
That's a different type of communication, though. I mean, you're not using probably the same pathways.
Well, think of this. It was more of a joke 10 years ago than it is now.
What?
Now, if you screw up on your Facebook status, you're kind of... It's way more serious than some of the things I wrote on Facebook for statuses. You know what I mean?
Oh, if you say something that's politically incorrect and people call you out,
or stupid, or you're an idiot, like, or if you just anything, or you post a picture of your ding dong by accident.
Nikki peed his pants. Only 5 kids knew about it.
Now the world does.
Yeah.
I don't know. Next is specific phobias disorder, which still boggles my mind. It's where you have a phobia that's so strong it affects your day-to-day life. I'm afraid of cats or water. I can't go to work. Okay, Marty, you called out again?
I'm afraid of making money.
He's been calling out every day.
I've been checking my bank account. It's still zero. Thank God. Oh, wait, that government check came in? Oh, no.
This one starts at age 7. Which makes sense. I mean, if your kid's deathly afraid of cats or toasters or the refrigerator or the dark.
Or clown tents. There's one behind you.
I was waiting for my kid to come out.
Dressed as a clown.
Clown in full makeup. Like an adult man.
Keeps growing larger and larger.
Yeah. I would have paid a guy to sit in that tent until this point for... Well, I'm $40. That was worth $40. Really mad I didn't. Oh well. The moment is over. Anyway, 8.7% of the population has a specific phobia disorder.
Huh.
Like, I'm afraid of heights. Driving over bridges.
And people are like, I'm afraid of spiders. Like, I feel like if you don't have a phobia, you feel like you're left out. So you're always like, oh, I'm afraid of... And you look around the room, you're like...
Do you have any of these? Any of these we've been talking about so far? Like, you kind of like...
I mean, I get nervous when I'm like on a tall building. I wouldn't.
Yeah, I do the heights. I'm not a heights fan.
Yeah.
I'm not phobiaed of it, but I don't like them.
Spiders crawling on me. I don't like that, but that's should be normal.
I've ever had one happen. Yeah.
You never had a spider crawl on you.
Like on me? Like what am I doing? Looking to my left?
That's never happened?
I mean, if it does, like I flick my arm and it's gone. I'm like, you little bastard.
Get out of my life. Get out of my life right now.
Get out of here. I hate your guts. All right, next up, obsessive compulsive disorder, which I thought everyone had. 1.0% of the population. Usual onset, 19 years old. So after puberty and stuff. I thought most of these happen like puberty, like your body's changing, like whatever. But
I read a stat about perfectionists. Like perfectionists want to do the best job possible.
I have some OCD, a little bit.
I think that is the OCD of it. But people think of perfectionists as like the people who are excelling. They're doing fantastic. They're the like type A. They're the pinnacle.
Tortured minds, aren't they?
Yeah, but exactly. Like if you're a perfectionist, you can't start because you only want it to be perfect. You can't deal with the uncontrollable aspect of what doing things is.
The nasty rough edges, right?
Yeah.
Couldn't deal with that.
Those businesses and everything, all of that, companies, corporations, they're all imperfect.
You're right.
It's hard to deal with.
They all have edges. They all have loose things going on. Post-traumatic stress disorder. Boom. Gotcha.
PTSD.
3.5% of the population.
I wonder how many are military related.
I didn't get an actual number, but something like 70-something% men versus women. A lot of these are split close to equal or actually slightly more women, I found, for most of these anxiety disorders. I think there's a lot of pressure on them to be moms and not express themselves. Like a woman can unload her emotional baggage on a man. She does, but it's different. She has to be, I don't know. I think the roles that women often are put in tend to make them this way.
I feel
anxious, like worried about cleaning, worried about, I don't know, social anxiety.
Like they're supposed to like represent all that is good, I guess. Like the perfection part of it.
Yeah, like men are allowed to be nasty, dirty, awful. Women usually aren't. So I guess there's more of an upkeep, like a rigidness. It's all about
anxiety. The visual, the inspection.
Your house looks. Yeah, you're right.
So I can understand that. Like I had a great aunt who would come over to our house, and like I only see her once every 5 years, but the first thing she would do would pull out a vacuum and start vacuuming the floor. Like she had
at your house?
At my house, yeah. She couldn't resist vacuuming everything. Like to her, nothing was perfect, so she would just start cleaning, and it'd be like, you don't have to do that.
Also true, your house is a shithole. I just was being rude. I know it was.
Yeah, this is like generations of houses. So like even like my parents' house, which was pretty spotless.
Okay.
But she would just go at it. I'd just be like, what the hell's wrong with her? As like a teenager, I'd be like, what the fuck? And like, I guess just let her go. Let her go. It's her thing. Go. She loves cleaning.
She's great. She's doing great, hon.
Yeah. She's gonna move in.
Somebody's cleaning. Major depressive disorder. This is the biggie, the one that kind of falls under depression. It's the hot topic today, folks. 6.7% of the U.S. That's a lot.
Yeah, at least 2 weeks of low mood that is present across most situations. Something that affects your whole life. It's interesting that, like, to diagnose it though.
The average age of onset?
It's probably like what, 12.
32 and a half
32
years old.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Huh.
Well, I guess I'm a year off, but it's fine.
Yeah, well, it started a year ago, so right when we started the podcast.
Oh, the podcast started. What coincidence. Huh. Last one, because we're going to go back to depression. Persistent depressive disorder. This is one that lasts like over 10 years. Average age of onset for this was like 31, and it affects 1.5% of the population. That one sounds like it sucks.
So, like, I always wonder how these people get categorized. Like, at 30, you're probably just like, fuck life at that point. And you're just, like, trying to figure out what's wrong with you. Because, honestly, most people probably think something's wrong with them. The way we're we're sold stuff materialistically, it's because we lack something, right? So we're always like
Yes.
trying to compete.
Do you think everyone? Here's the thing I came across. I think everyone can relate to all this stuff we were just talking about. Not everyone's clinically diagnosed. It's not like there's a switch that says you have phobias, you have social anxiety, you have depression, and then everyone else has it's off.
Yeah, they have a mix.
Like, people have a little bit of depression sometimes. Like people go through it. People go through anxiety issues. People sometimes don't feel comfortable in crowds or talking in front of people. Like that's normal, right?
Yeah.
So where does it become clinical? You know what I mean?
So if they decide to actually go to somebody and say, I think I have depression, tell me if I do.
So could anyone get diagnosed with depression, do you think?
I think
not anyone, but most people probably, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's all about someone analyzing what you're saying. And if someone wants to be diagnosed as depressed, and I'm not taking this from people that taking away the actual depression part.
No, but not at all.
If you wanted to be diagnosed as depressed, you probably could. I could probably go to somebody and say, I'm depressed, and this is affecting all of my life, and I just read a Wikipedia article that tells me exactly what to tell you, and here it is. I want to try some new drugs, and what do you got?
Did you get in any of the drugs?
I actually, Zoloft is one, right?
Yeah, that's one.
There's a P one.
Praxis?
No. Antidepressants. I'm gonna.
So
Prozac
those...
was the one I was thinking of.
Oh, Prozac. Yeah. So all those anxiety disorders, if you add up all the percentages, not quite add up because some of them overlap, but in the U.S., 18% of people have a diagnosis like that. That's 40 million people. That's a lot. 33% are actively seeking treatment that have been diagnosed, like seeking medical, they're doing follow-ups, they're going to therapy, stuff like that. Okay. 50% of the people involved also have a crossover with another condition on the list or a depressive episode.
Like some kind of other phobia or like an abuse of drugs or alcohol or something?
Half. So it seems like it's all connected. And when we talk about the drug, it's all about the brain. And we still don't friggin' know all the details.
Yeah.
We've talked about the brain before. It's for whatever reason, we can't figure out inside our own brain.
It's because everyone's wired differently. There's so many different connections, and they just know that like certain inhibitors, certain connections in the brain you can disrupt. And if you do it to certain people, it changes the way they act. So there's certain people that are definitely like schizophrenic, or they're characterized with some sort of disability, that certain drugs do help and makes them better for society. And those I understand. Like sometimes it's a necessity. And then there's cases that I find strange, like the percentage of number of people in the United States that take antidepressants is 13%. So it's like 1 out of every 8 people is taking an antidepressant.
That's weird.
Doesn't that feels very strange, because I must interact with at least 50 people a day.
Some of them are on it.
Yeah. And like you wonder, the people who are the top performers, or people who are always happy, or people that just, they're talkers, chatty or whatever, maybe they're on something.
What's the one that you can take on an airplane ride?
Ambien? You don't remember?
That one's no, it's... I'm not a pill guy. I've definitely taken one of these antidepressants or something.
For airplanes?
For a plane ride. Yeah, it was like a 4-hour plane ride. And like I said, I wish I could speak from a perspective of someone who recreationally...
Prozac, Zoloft, Celexa, Lexapro?
Maybe it was Prozac.
You took a Prozac?
Either way, I took it. Yeah, I think so.
So you don't like flying? You have a phobia of flying?
No, I just wanted to try a new drug. Anyway, it was offered to me. Yeah. So I'm okay with flying. Yeah. Whatever. But
let's give this thing a shot.
Why not? I mean, if you're gonna do it on a plane ride because you're chilling. You know what I mean? Always going anywhere. And I remember it wasn't like sleepy. It wasn't like boring. It was like nothing. Like things were going on around me, but they didn't really matter that much. It was very even keeled.
It's like you weren't paying attention almost.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It was the opposite of being bored, because boredom makes all the seconds drag on. Like 4 hours went by, and I didn't even care. I was like, Yeah. It was like weird. And I think I imagine that's what they do to your brain. They keep you from getting anxiety and worrying and cringing over every second, but it's not. It didn't feel natural. And I'm
Yeah,
not saying not to
because
take your drugs. If you need your drugs, take your drugs. But if you don't need your drugs, probably don't take them
yeah, there's a
for
duality
an airplane
there
ride.
where you need to be anxious about certain things in order to spur a thought that's a positive thought.
Mm-hmm. Right. It wasn't a bad experience. It was weird. I didn't particularly, not much of a Zoloft or a Prozac abuser, I guess.
So you touched on boredom, and there's one thing that I liked. There's no universally accepted definition of boredom, but whatever it is, researchers argue it is simply not another name for depression or apathy. So it's not something that's, it's not a state in where you're positive or negative or don't feel anything. You're completely aware that you're bored. I think you're just in a state where you're deciding what you want to do, which some people interpreted as like a bad feeling, but it's really not. You're aware of what you're doing and waiting.
Boredom.
I don't like boredom either.
No. But you're saying I guess it's not bad. Boredom's weird in that it's
You're searching for stimulation and you need relief from not having any stimulation. So you're trying to find other ways of expending your energy, really.
okay. That makes sense. I'll get into boredom in a second, but one thing I noticed with my brain research was that serotonin was super important. Serotonin helps regulate sleep, appetite, mood, and pain. Whether you feel pain or not feel pain.
Yep.
And apparently, people with depression, that's really some of their big hitters right there. They can't regulate their sleep. Their appetite is either overboard or non-existent. They can't help their mood. They kind of feel not pain, but they don't feel right. It's a weird thing. So to have all that happen to you is not simply being sad. Like whereas sad, you're like, they say you can't be depressed over a bereavement during a bereavement period. Like someone super important passes, you are not experiencing depression. You're experiencing sadness. If it continues, like we said, for 2 weeks and then beyond,
yeah, major
it can
depressive.
become depression. But there's a line. I kept Googling what causes depression, how does depression start, and no one gave a very good answer. It was always like a lot of factors come into play.
I actually have a list of main causes of depression. Yep. Abuse, medications, conflict, death or loss, genetics, major events, personal problems, serious illnesses, or substance abuse. It's a decent list.
I have a list too that was things that cause depression, and it was exactly your list, but 4. But I think it covers the same: biochemistry,
Sure,
your genetics. If you have a twin that has depression, you're 70% likely to get depression yourself. Personality and environmental factors. So essentially, you're just split the list into a more detailed run, but
yeah,
but no one knows what causes it. This is a generality.
Yeah.
Is there a brain level? There seems to be no.
There's no, yeah, they can't take a sample of your brain or like inject,
blood,
yeah,
or pee in a cup. Pee in a cup.
do like an X-ray.
We got depression.
Yeah.
We got a depresso over here, you know?
I mean, they've done brain scans of people and noticed that like certain regions are highlighted during X, Y, and Z, but it doesn't tell you whether or not they're actually depressed. It just like correlates loosely.
Right. Check this one. They found that women, for whatever reason, not necessarily men, the hippocampus is generally smaller than the rest of the general hippocampus size, and that women who've had bouts with repeated depression, their hippocampus shrinks. Like over the course of their life, it will get smaller. So they're saying not that having a small hippocampus means you're depressed, but these women, I don't know why it didn't apply to men. If they had more than one depressive incident or episode, like years and years of depression, and then they were clean, and then they got on drugs and they were depressed for a while, their hippocampus was actually smaller.
So the hippocampus in the memory one is something that controls the storage and retrieval of memories, right? It's the way of facilitating long-term memory storage.
But brain does so many different things. It's dangerous to say it was just that.
Yeah.
But maybe.
It could be. I mean, if you're focused on some traumatic event and that's all you can think about, maybe you don't need to store that many memories because the memories you have are already of that event. Just suggesting. Just suggesting.
It's possible. The amygdala and the thalamus were big hitters on the people with depression. A lot of activity there, and then non-activity.
Amygdala is the emotional center, right?
Yes. These all make sense, though. Like, what we're saying is we notice that your emotions are distraught, your memories are bad. So it's almost a backwards correlation. You're depressed, ergo the brain looks like this. We still don't know what causes the brain to do this. It's not just an imbalance of chemical X, Y, or Z, because, like you said, every person is different. They don't know. And sometimes the medication works and sometimes it doesn't. Did you come across that?
Yeah, so this is my main problem with... So I have a big problem with people being diagnosed with depression and given medication. So they don't really know how much to give people, and they don't really... I mean, they have a general idea that it's going to take X number of months before it takes action, but very rarely do they say, we're going to let you off of it after X number of months, and then you should be fine.
Right. It's an ongoing thing, right?
Yeah. So I know somebody that was prescribed medication, and whenever there was something that negative happened and it got worse, they were prescribed more medication.
Oh,
they just keep upping it. Yeah.
It never went down. That's weird.
And then coming off of it, I mean, your brain is so fixated on what it thinks is happy moments because it's given a drug. Your brain doesn't know what a happy moment really is because it's just been given those, like, feelings. So when you come off of it, you're really in shock because you don't... I mean, the world as you know it should be happy at this moment, even though you haven't done anything to make it happy. So when you take those drugs away, all of a sudden you're in shock. You don't know what to do.
Crutch theory. I mean,
withdrawal.
You become dependent on it. It's a little bit, yeah. It's weird. I want to talk about maybe. Have you ever felt depressed or anything? You think you've ever been depressed?
So before you get to that one, there's one other therapy. They said something about like your deep sleep cycle, your REM cycle. It like somehow controls how depressed you are. So for people that have been given like light therapy, apparently it disrupts the normal cycle of sleeping and waking, and that disrupts how your brain reacts. And then if you shift, like sleep shift people, and then they wake up later than they normally do, somehow that corrects their depression. It's a strange, weird thing. Like your sleeping causes... Important. Yeah. But I guess too much sleep maybe causes it to be problematic. So
one I didn't touch on because it's a very small percentage, seasonal affective disorder, which is very debatable. Like
no, I agree. I lived way up north in upstate New York. No, well, upstate New York, you only see sun for like 3 months of the year. The rest of the year, it's all gray and bleak and cold. So I could understand if you were alone. And I think this feeds actually perfectly into your "was I ever depressed?" question. So if I didn't, in college is where I was, upstate New York. If I never ever made friends and I had to live college alone, I would have been depressed. I know it for sure. I would have been so sad because I didn't have anything to do. I'd be bored. I'd be looking for things to do, and I would never get any stimulus. But I had friends, so college was good. What was bad was once I got the first job in Syracuse, friends, quote unquote.
I did quote his friends, but go on.
In Syracuse, when I lived alone, which you came up and visited me. In that period in winter, I was there for probably 7 or 8 months. Like I didn't have anybody around, and the people that I worked with, I tried to make friends with them, but it was like not really clicking. Weird. So like I got in this set routine in the middle of winter where I didn't do very much. And after a while, you just start to lose your mind because there's no one around to really give you feedback on what you're doing, if you're doing a good job, whether you want to live this life. Like, it doesn't feel right, but it's like the mental shift that slowly starts to drift away from who you were. You just kind of accept what you're becoming, and doesn't feel quite right, but you have no choice. I mean, if you're stuck in an area with a job and you just not making it click, it starts to wear on you. And that was probably like one of my... I wouldn't say I was depressed. I was just like sad. Seasonal affective disorder. Where it just doesn't feel right and you just can't break out of it. until the
You know,
season changes.
so that affects your sleep cycle, that particular disorder. Did you know that? And it only affects 1 to 2% of the population, which sounds weird because almost everyone kind of experiences
Everyone
it.
complains about the weather. Oh, it rained today.
Right.
I got wet. Oh,
So, but anyway, I guess 1 to 2% is clinical. Like maybe it affects maybe people can't go
that's
to work.
true.
You know what I
Like
mean?
someone
That's
like
the
me
whole
will
different.
never go to a doctor and say I feel depressed. Can you help me? I don't feel like that's the right thing.
I feel sad. You mean sad? No, doctor. I said it in all caps. SAD.
Yeah. Couldn't you read my captions? This is the story of my life right here,
The
captured on
coolest
film.
thing about sad is sunlight helps. So they have you sit under sunlight lamps
It's like
and
a
all that.
vitamin D deficiency almost.
Check this shit out. Patients who've been given sunlight dosage to their skin will not actually recover at all. The sunlight has to enter the eyes
I
for
read that
any
too.
effect to happen. And I was like, excuse me? I literally double taked. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, you can't just absorb it through your skin. It's got to go through your eyes. And I don't know why. That's
It's
fascinating.
something about the cycle of your brain where it thinks that it's in the summertime, maybe because it's active, it feels like it's doing something.
Yes, man, that's wild. I really thought because then it's not vitamin D, which you get through your skin.
Hmm.
So it's something else. I don't even know what it is at this point. Now I'm like, okay, holy shit, I believe you. So I was probably depressed for like maybe I probably would have been clinical when I first started high school. We moved from the city and all my BFFs
Oh,
to like the suburbs, like the deep suburbs. Like that, we couldn't
friends.
walk anywhere. Yeah, friends in quotes again. But I also fell in love with my first girlfriend,
Oh,
serious girlfriend. Like we were going to get married. We're meeting in heaven. Actually, I already promised her I'm going to meet her in heaven. I mean, a lot's going on. She has her own
hey,
kids.
hey, it's
It's going to
been
be
high.
awkward, but
Yeah.
I can say her name. Hey Kim. I guess we're going to meet in heaven. This is going to be weird. Since we promised it,
Yeah.
and since you
Hi Kim.
eventually
We
left each other.
this is strange. I'm
This
just
is
gonna
awkward,
go
but
to the other
I'm
side of heaven.
here.
I'm just gonna
But
go
we're
over
both
that
here.
side.
We got to check in like once in a
Yeah.
while. Is this cool?
She's
I
like, yeah,
was
Nick. I never thought about you since we broke up. It's okay.
Yeah, maybe. I have 3 kids. She has 2, I think. Actually. Anyway,
Combined, you have 3.
that's true. We do. The couple. Kim and I'm sure it's written on a bunch of stuff in Max Myers' playground. Anyway, I would visit her. I took 2 SEPTA buses with a transfer. It took me an hour, and I would visit her back in Philadelphia. I was. So this sounds
In love?
really crazy.
You were
Looking
in
back
love?
on it, oh, 100%. At 13, I just started playing roller hockey. So the orange ball, the Milac ball,
Yeah.
9 o'clock at night, I would tell my parents I was going outside, and they would let me. I still don't know why. And I would walk up our new street in the suburbs. I'd walk up and down the street with a hockey stick. Like the road's probably half a mile to yeah, it's probably half a mile, all the way to the top of the street, just rolling a hockey ball along like the where the curb was.
It's so
And
sad.
just go up and down for like I'm talking. I would do this for like an hour or two. Looking back, it's crazy. I mean, I would write really dark poetry that was like the pain is
Isn't this the
overwhelming.
beginning of teenage years, though? I mean, coming of age. Isn't this
Oh,
all of?
dude, listen, it's very related. It's not like it just happened at 13, but it's. Whew. They one time they found all my dark poems and they confronted me, and I told them I was just doing an experiment. Oh, that was the worst feeling in the world.
Oh man. So I
It's like
think
they were like, what is this? I'm in a sea of darkness, and I'd be like, you know, if you're 13, you're like,
shine the light in his eyes. Shine the light in his eyes.
get this guy.
Yeah.
But it was just. And the only thing I'll say that I thought about depression then was that it wasn't like sadness because it was like a fog over everything where it all ran together and you were in a rut and every day felt the same, but it felt bad. And it wasn't pain you could feel, but you could feel like you weren't able to do anything.
Yeah.
And it's almost like thinking one day, let's say if you used the maximum potential you could do in a day, you could climb 5 feet on a mountain or something. Like you could climb, right? If you really had a great day and maximum potential and everything went right, you could climb 5 feet. Just a beautiful day. And you looked back and in your head you realized, wow, the mountain I'm being crushed under is 18 miles big. Even if I did great for 40 days in a row, it wouldn't matter.
I'm just going
I
to
can only
lay
go
here.
5 feet every day. And so it's not worth the effort to have a great day where you maximize everything. It's like, this all sucks. It's, you want to fight it, but it's so big. It's the world, and it's not worth it. And that's how I think depression feels. And it's hard because it affects your brain. It affects the way you sleep. You're tired every day. You feel like shit. You don't want to work out. Why would you want to work out? You're bored all the time. Sometimes your favorite songs don't even make you happy. You listen to them, but it just sounds like crap. And you want to turn it off, but you want to respect your favorite song. So now you're listening to a song for 3 minutes and you hate it, and it's your favorite song, but you friggin' hate it, and you turn it off. You don't know what to do. You don't even want to call your friends up because they want to do something fun, but the fun thing's gonna suck. And like you're stuck. I don't know. It's like it
Are you
feeds
still
into itself.
getting over Kim, your ex-girlfriend here?
Maybe. I'm getting back in the mood for the podcast. But that's how I think depression feels, and it's weird because it feeds itself. It's hard to get out of it. It's a cycle.
So
And it's real.
let me see. I'll start with the start of high school because I think everyone has that shock where they change location, they change their friends, and our high school was far away from where I lived, where probably you live too. So you can't really hang out with the people. It's not like you're going to go back on the bus and then all get off on the bus and hang out in the same neighborhood.
Drive.
No. So it's
like 15 or 4. What are you in high school? I don't even know. Are you 16 yet?
No, you're 14, 15, right?
Oh yeah, okay. You definitely can't drive. So
Yeah.
guess what? You're screwed. Parents aren't driving you.
Yeah, for our situation anyway. So even in sophomore year, I actually wanted to drop out because I was tired. Like, you feel like a lot of this, a lot of the stuff that they go over is just boring crap. Like reiterate the stuff that we tell you and make sure that you can remember it. Like that's just garbage. Like I honestly went to my parents and said like I don't want to do this anymore. Like this is just stupid stuff that it doesn't make any sense to me. I mean it made sense, but it just
didn't you mention something you did in grade school or kindergarten?
Yeah, so in grade school I was also kind of this way too. Is that there was certain things that I thought just were stupid and pointless. So I like what they call is like truancy. So like a truancy officer will make sure you go to school. So I used to go to grade school, and this is probably in like 6th grade when I was maybe 11, and I would just I'd walk out of the school. Like I get off the bus, walk with the kids to the door, and then just be like,
walking, folks. I could see him in a leather jacket, just kicking open the bar that goes across the door, and just.
Yeah. So the school would call my parents saying he never showed up to school, and then they'd hunt me down in like neighborhoods where I had to walk.
Who were you?
I would walk through the neighborhoods back to my house because I just,
How long of a walk is this?
Oh, this is probably like, if I'm going to walk it, at least an hour.
Damn, dude.
It's pretty far. Yeah.
Yo, you're lucky you weren't like a target of like, if you were a cute kid.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Thank God you were a terrible looking kid.
My friend told me about a story of his friend who was walking on the side of the road, and some guy pulled up and said, you're kind of beautiful. Would you, and then he's like, at the moment he said, and I was like, nope. And then he took off. He started sprinting. But yeah, if I was a cute kid, I don't know. I was in the suburbs, so I was kind of safe. If I was in the city, I might be.
That don't mean shit, dude. It just means you're farther apart. The houses. You can still find those creepos getting you.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, so I don't. That's one of those things that like education and sitting in one spot, and I don't know. It's just boring.
Don't you do it with a job?
It's the exact same thing with a job. When you're sitting at a computer and you're essentially done your task for the day, and you're just like wondering what you're gonna do.
Make a podcast, work on all the socials, get all them links working. That's what you're gonna do.
Actually, what I found works the best is when I'm bored is to actually read about certain things. So like this is honestly the podcast when we have like a subject and I start diving into the subject, like that last hour of the day where I'm just like, I'm done. What do I do?
You get into whatever topic we're getting.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
I like that.
Otherwise, you start asking for stuff to do, and then they give you way too much, and then it just becomes an overload, and then you start to get stressed.
Good point. So is stress part of that whole system we were just talking about? Is stress on the rise in America today? Would you say?
What was this? What was This is going to lead into suicide, but I don't want to get there yet.
Yeah, it is. Okay. Take your time. It's only been 5 hours or whatever it's been.
45 minutes. So your sadness is breaking up with Kim.
Mm-hmm. No, it was still going out with her.
You're still going out with her, but didn't she cheat on you or something?
Yeah, that was
difficult times.
I also had another one. Jeez, girl troubles.
Yeah. Well, you hit puberty, and then your penis controls most of what you do, and you start getting fixated on other people. I guess for like they validate who you are as a person, maybe. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what you as men do. That's what women are to men. I think is that they validate that you're a sexual beast that you are, and they are interested in what you have to say and someone to talk to and someone to reflect with.
Talking about two different things there. I hope you know. Because I could validate what you say, Dan, and how interesting it is. I will not validate that you are a sexy beast. Maybe I will. Maybe I will. I understand now. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
Teenage lust takes over. The loins control the, Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah, we don't have a female aspect to this, but maybe we will one day. But
one day. That would be a great podcast, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so. So I guess I want to talk about like the girlfriends that got under my skin, like the ones you could actually feel something for.
Are you gonna name names? Are we getting down and dirty here?
I'll name some of the names because I don't think they'll ever listen to this.
First names only, folks.
So Kelly, you met Kelly. I'll start with her. Maybe it was like 20. Yes, 20. She was a little blonde, skinny. So this is, you don't remember? Okay, never mind then.
Go ahead.
No.
Come on,
it was one of those things that like she was into me, I was into her, but it didn't work out. For some reason, we didn't get like for some reason you can't.
Talking about now. Oh my God! You changed the name.
No, it's the same name.
Kelly.
Someone
I'm related to.
No, I would not talk about her.
Okay. I thought you were like 4 letters in her name.
No.
Okay, cool.
No.
Okay. I really thought.
Yeah, I know you did.
For the record, Dan tried to go after my cousin.
Yeah. So, yeah. Tried.
Anyway, moving on.
So I don't know, there's something that happens between men and women where they can't communicate properly. Where like, I'm attracted to you. You can't say like, I'm attracted to you or you're attracted to me. And then like, do you want to do something? Like that's the most boring thing you could do.
True.
But no one does that. No one just says like, these are my feelings. Tell me your feelings.
Have you ever seen like good looking idiots do the whole dating scene?
Or and then all the women are like, oh.
Well,
what
do you
the
know what they
hell is
often
going
say?
on here?
Hey, you're like good looking. And they're like,
oh, pretty. Oh.
They can say whatever they want. So usually they do say the lowest mean. They have the least thought put into it, and they get positive feedback every time because they're super good looking. The good looking ones.
Oh, you're tall. Oh, thanks. It's like that's all it took, and you're like. But
look, what I'm getting at is it had nothing to do with the conversation, nothing to do with the getting there, nothing to do with the work between the two.
Yeah.
It was literally just physical attraction.
Not a mental game. Not mental at all.
It's not a mental game. That's why all the pickup artist stuff and like the things you can say to get girls is mostly bullshit. I mean, if she's attracted to you, she's attracted to you. It's something innate. I think we talked about this in certain episodes. We're not going to get into the whole what attracts male and female, but I think just it happens off the bat or it doesn't. It's not like I worked on her and eventually she realized that manga is pretty cool or like whatever. Like she got really big into Pokemon cards and now I'm like, check out my deck. Like, you know what I mean? It's not gonna. You don't work a game on a girl like that.
Yeah, because I don't think the girl picks up on the game that you're throwing anyway, especially not in high school.
A long game? No. At that age? Good Lord.
You're not. I mean, even through. So I guess part of the problem is I think like several years ahead. Like I'm planning to like become whatever, like the
Podcast king.
yeah, the king of whatever, the like a king and queen out of it, make a whole family
King
and
of
all that
Queens.
stuff.
King of Queens.
Yeah. So for like high school and college, even like you should probably not focus on the long term and just enjoy it. So that was part of my depression too, is because like I'm a mental person, I'm an overthinker, I'm an overplanner. I'm always trying to
Overthinkers.
move things
Yep.
towards the goal, and I don't think that any of the women like
Our
Pam.
smart people are. Okay, now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like Pam was my first real girlfriend, and I fell for her really hard, but for some reason it just like wasn't clicking, and she kind of knew it, and like, but we're like I was dated her for like 6 months and went to college, and there's a separation there, and things kind of drifted apart. But like the most angry you can get is after it all falls apart. It's like the most depressed you can get is when they say, you know, this isn't working, and you try to figure out like why it isn't working, and it never. There's no explanation that they can give you to tell you exactly why it doesn't work. That's the way I feel.
You can't fix it. There's no formula they can give you to fix it. It's not like, hey, if you did X, Y, and Z, you can solve a problem and it'll be finished.
Mm-hmm.
There's no solving the problem. It's an unsolvable problem.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Which bothers people who are perfectionists and plan ahead. Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
So you have anxiety disorder. Thank you.
Anxiety that I can't fix. I can't fix the problem that's in front of me.
Can't fix humans. Humans are the most screwed up thing.
Yeah.
I think they're destined to have anxiety issues and depression and all these things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean it's a delta,
Sounds
right?
like you had one more girl coming.
I do. I'll talk.
It.
So there's
I know it.
happiness is a delta. So you're constantly trying to do stuff in order to make yourself better. And if you do, you feel happy, and if you don't, you feel kind of crappy. So like I had this recent lull where I finished a couple projects. I really didn't have very much to do, and I was trying to like decide what I wanted to do, but I didn't want to start it because I was just like in a reflective phase. And then I ran it.
Period.
Yeah, well,
sorry.
there were. Never mind. But so there, I ran into somebody that actually made me feel like excited, and I think I'm like old enough, mature enough to understand like what's going on now, which I haven't told you this yet. But like every time I see this person, like my body realizes that like for some reason something's triggered. So I get adrenaline, I get like a huge amount of like just feel like super excited. Everything's happening. I can't think, I black out, and then I wake up like 10 minutes later and like what the hell just happened? Mm-hmm. So I don't know where I want to go with this one. You're gonna have to guide me through this one. Okay.
What I'm gonna say is, do you think if it doesn't work out, or can't work out, or shouldn't work out, that you're gonna be depressed from this? Is it almost destined for failure?
So this is
based on its own nature?
I'm not trying to like this is the key. I'm not trying to date this woman. Like I know that that's not the level I want to get to. But she won't even like try to be friends with me, which is weird in like a very like subtle way. And so I
can't force friendship or dating, I think.
Yeah.
And so I think you're left with the exact problem we discussed earlier. There's no X, Y, and Z to fill out. There's no X plus Z equals Y. I mean, that was a terrible math equation, by the way. But there's no formula or facts that you can do that will change it.
Exactly.
There's no formula. It's just open-ended, and the open-endedness goes to nowhere. And you're like, well, I just want to do X. Can't I just do Y? Even if I work my ass off for Y. Even if I do fix a few things. Well, no, there's no guarantee. And it's the weirdest thing because most things in science, math, life, just most things, physics, everything around us in the universe, you can do things. You can solve them. Even if it's an impossible solution, you can work towards it.
Yeah.
Right. With humans and this thing you're talking about, friendship, love, depression, sadness,
excitement,
happiness, excitement, they're all emotions. Emotions they don't have an X value. They don't have a level. They don't have anything. There's no way you can control them. There's no way you can input something into them that they'll output something you want. They're weird.
Yeah.
They make no friggin' sense sometimes.
Yeah. You can't lob the key over and then turn the key and then all of a sudden emotions pop out. It's like, What I've learned through maturity, and it takes a while for this to happen, is that exactly that. You can't expect people to feel a certain way, but you can feel a certain way. So if it happens to you and you feel like, you can't do anything about it, maybe that's okay. And you have to understand that, like, you might feel excited, and that's good to feel excited, but maybe you can't use that excitement to go anywhere.
Yeah.
You just have to feel the excitement.
That's its own end.
Yeah. I think a lot of the times I used to force relationships or try things with women because I felt like it was the necessary thing to do. But, I could be passive about it, still be open to it, and let things happen. Or in this case, where I actually asked her if she wanted to do something, and she shut me down like nobody's business. I'll put that. And I was like, I could never explain exactly what I was trying to say because they never give you that shot. But that's okay. That's also okay. Yeah, I got shut down. He's doing a shotgun. But from my perspective, it's not getting shot down because I'm not trying to date her. Like, that's not what I'm trying to do.
I don't disagree with any of this.
Yeah, and I think that's my whole previous, like, dating, all the depression, all the things that happen when you're, all your emotions are going, you want to dive all in, and then nothing happens, and then you feel like all those emotions that you put out there, just try to retract them, swings back the other way.
Depression is emotional, in your opinion. Like, it doesn't have a solid basis. It doesn't have a XYZ. There's no solution. There's no cause. It's a tangle of things that we can't really 100% describe or control.
When Pam broke up with me, the first thing I do is just walk outside and sit somewhere and just try to think it through. It doesn't matter. You can't.
You go out and sit somewhere?
I try to get away from people just because I think about things.
No. What do? Go out in the woods or something?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Like trees, or where do you go to? A clearing? I'm just curious.
All of that. All the above.
So, you be on college campus and you walk out towards the nearest woods? Or would you go towards, like, just walk?
Closest. Do something to get away from where you are. Change your atmosphere. But it doesn't help. I don't think it helps. It helps in the fact that you're not going to, like, punch somebody because they piss you off in that moment. Just getting away from people helps. But
puncher? You ever punch some walls?
So this is part of, like, the playing video games part. This is throwing a controller or punching a TV screen and, like, almost breaking your
TV.
Yeah, with CRT monitors that are were 50 pounds back in the day.
Yeah, dude. They're 50. Try like 500 pounds.
They're heavy.
Me and my dad picked one up. It was like a 45-inch, but it's bigger. It's more than 45 inches behind than the screen. We had to move it out of the basement. Good Lord. It was probably like 350 pounds. Wild. Me and my dad are strong, by the way. I don't know if anyone on the podcast called that, but I did 2 pull-ups before the podcast. Dan saw.
Yeah, I think we had an episode called Injury where Nick hurt himself trying to lift something in someone's basement down the steps.
Oh my God. It's still terrifying. I'm going to her destination wedding next week. So.
Oh, wow. That sounds fantastic.
Sounds great. Anyone ever been to Nashville? In the comments, if you can tell me if it's good or bad, I might change my mind. It's in 24 hours, so your opinion means everything to me. Let me know.
So the one thing, perception. So a lot of people are probably depressed based on perception of what they should be. I don't think there's a rule for what people should be. They should just try to be better than their old self. Try to keep getting better, regardless of where you are.
I agree. So everyone says Facebook is the worst, right?
Or Instagram.
Like everyone. Okay, stop! You buried my lead. You unburied my lead.
Oh, sorry.
So everyone says Facebook is the worst because everyone's grandparents are on it. It's super political. It's charged. It's got stupid half memes. They're not even real memes. They're like corny half memes.
Yeah, they're stolen from somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. Facebook is the least original site. Anyway, people hate it. Whatever. It's your grandmom's cookie recipe. What's going on in the neighborhood? Politically charged. Whatever. Instagram is probably the most depressing because it makes everyone look like a supermodel, a super chef, or a super happy parent. Like Instagram is where you put your glamour shots. It's the fifth largest social media website right now.
Instagram is?
Facebook. Yeah, Facebook's number one. They have YouTube, WhatsApp, stuff like that. 800 million people use Instagram. That's a lot of people.
It is.
It's where you put your glamour shots. It's where you put your pictures of your vacation or the perfect dinner garnished perfectly, set at the perfect spot with a perfect filter. It's where you have your kid's report card perfectly sit here next to his other award. Instagram, I think, is a problem because it's your perfect spot. It's where you put your perfect pictures. Facebook, you put some perfect shots, you put some everyday shots, you put your dog, whatever. You move down the list, like different social media sites are usually for different things. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Tinder
is where you put your dong shot.
Do online now, guys. That's right.
What is it?
Online now, guys.
Oh, what's that?
Dong? Vsauce?
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I actually did come across that. I forgot. Yeah, good call. So like Snapchat is where you send like either dirty pictures or your vacation pictures or celebrity run-ins. Like that's where you got to put them. It's like a rule of thumb. Twitter is where you put pictures that are like either depressing or funny. Does that make sense?
I don't feel that at all. I think people just spam that crap everywhere.
Twitter. Because you follow 800 people. Anyway, this guy's a Twitter bot, but anyway.
Yeah. Sorry.
Reddit is where you put like nerdy stuff. It's like nerdy and like the geeky. It's people who are big fans of things. Whether you go to Reddit Doom, the new Doom game, or Reddit geography porn, or like where you take pictures of the earth that look beautiful, or Reddit like
geography porn.
You can pick anything. I don't know. I picked geography porn. Earth porn. That's a real thing.
It is earth porn, yeah.
See, that was close. Close. But we all go online, and going online is on the rise. Like everyone goes online. Everyone has to post selfies. Everyone has to post their vacation pics. Everyone has to post dinner pic. And there's a growing thing where people can't keep up.
Yeah.
Your vacation isn't as glamorous as so-and-so.
Yeah. I woke up on a mountaintop. Here's a picture of it. I crapped into a bowl of caviar. Look at this. It's right. It still tastes great.
It's fabulous. It still tastes great. But we set unrealistic goals, and it reminds me of the medicine thing you talked about. We keep upping the ante. You up your dosage. You up your dosage. Everything keeps getting higher. It never stops. I mean, online is forever, right? Even though we refresh every day.
Yeah.
You can find your online picture from 6 years ago. It's forever. We keep upping our ante. We need to be better. We need to be supermodels. We need to look like this in our bikinis. We need to have dinners that look like this. We need to go on vacation in places that look like this. And I think the reality is we don't. The reality is we don't, folks.
Yeah, because you're sourcing pictures from, 800 million people? One picture a day is going to be better than what you can experience in most of your life.
Don't follow everyone on the Instagram. Let's say you follow most of the people you know who are regular people like you. You follow like 8 to 10 supermodels, and you follow 8 to 10 super chefs, and you follow 8 to 10 people who have like super good kids who like do crazy savant shit, and then you follow 8 to 10 people who have like super craftsman skills. You're always going to be behind them. That's what they do. And you will always feel behind these people. And I think it's a condition that happens in people. You go on Instagram every day. You gotta like your friends, your cousin, mom. She always posts that stupid picture of you, Throwback Thursday. Your dad, he tries to do carpentry, but he's awful. But you gotta like it anyway. You gotta follow your cousin, your friend from high school, your BFF from college. Shout out BFF from college. But you do all these things, and where is the room for you to post a shitty picture? Have a shitty day.
I feel like there should be a social network that captures just average people doing shitty things.
It's Twitter. I'm telling you, you're doing it wrong.
I'm doing it wrong.
Twitter is so I read an article on the I Wanna Die meme.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ.
Do you want me
so hard to...
You want to gather your thoughts? Because I have 2 stats here.
Oh, go ahead. Please do. It won't help me gather my thoughts, but go ahead.
All right, sure. So it's keeping up with the Joneses. Is that feeling that you need to match whatever somebody else is doing. I talked about this a little bit before. So, like luxury cars, you see like a really nice car on the streets, something that's probably worth more than like maybe 80 grand, like really high end. It's like 60% of the luxury cars out there are not owned; they're leased.
Uh-huh.
So, like most of those people actually probably maybe they're
returning them at the end of 3 years.
Yeah, they're not living. They're not actually wealthy. They just like to try new stuff. So, in my job a few years back, there was an intern that started that was driving Mercedes. Turns out he was just leasing the Mercedes. Like he wasn't like a wealthy person. He was just an average person who was just like, I'm gonna try this out for a year or two. So it's kind of a strange thing to see all these like really nice cars around, but those people probably don't own them, and they probably don't care about the car, and they didn't pay for it. They're just renting it for a short while,
right?
At an expensive price, but still, don't try to match yourself to what you see around you.
Don't match yourself to Instagram or whatever. Obviously,
yeah, it's the same idea.
People might try.
It's the same thing with housing. It's like people have some really nice houses, and it seems like, how do they afford it? You never know someone's finances until they can't afford something. It's like in 2008, the housing crisis hit, and something like 2% of homeowners, they filed foreclosure, bankruptcy.
Really?
So, yeah, so a good majority of people, probably in your neighborhood, can't afford the house that they live in. So if you're looking at somebody, their physical property, you don't know how much they're leveraging in order to own that stuff, or to look that certain way on Instagram, or to go on that vacation. They might be broke as shit and living a terrible life, and they could be depressed on antidepressants and trying to be perky and happy. You don't have no idea what these people are actually doing. Maybe they post one picture and the rest of the time they're frowning and crying and sobbing on the floor.
Imagine it. If there was a frown in the picture, it's not getting posted, right?
Yeah.
You're only posting the good thing. Again, the highest part of your bar. The highest bar from the individual you're looking at is getting posted. So really, we don't know how much is not getting posted.
Yeah. If you were forced to post every picture you took, how crazy would that be?
That would be awesome. Yeah. Even rich people have awful pictures, like with their kids running away and it's all fuzzy.
Yeah.
And then there's a picture where the dog's shitting right on the lawn, and this is going on, and someone spilled wine on their marble. If you spill wine on marble, it's porous. It'll go through the marble.
Yeah. Can't use that on tabletops in restaurants. It's a food code violation.
Though I did.
You gotta seal it. You gotta seal it.
10-year seal. 10-year seal.
Contact Nick at freeblowjobs.com.
Anyway,
did you gather your thoughts?
No, not at all. World Health Organization.
Who?
WHO. Did you say who?
Yeah.
Were you being funny?
I already know it. Yeah. Son of a bitch. That's what you're thinking.
Yeah. What happens after suicide? Oh, Jesus Christ. What happens after depression?
Suicide. What does happen after? I don't know. Should check our previous episode on the afterlife.
A lot of cleanup and death.
So this is the sad part. The real sad part.
I want to cover the sad part so we can not end on the sad part. We'll move forward, but 800,000 suicides a year?
That's a lot.
It's 1.4% of all deaths in the world a year.
Willingly deciding that they didn't want to live anymore. People choosing. So my mom used to say, suicide has a definitive end and there's no way to correct the problem. So if you wanted to fight the problem, committing suicide doesn't mean you get to solve the problem.
True.
So it never really seemed like an option for me in any case, any situation.
I've definitely thought of it, but more in like a fantasy way.
Yeah.
Not like a
It's
I
like
thought of fighting orcs as an elf too. I thought of having sex with a lot of celebrities. Like these are things I thought of, but not like planned out or attempted. We'll get into that number, but it's the leading cause of death from people 15 to 29. Leading cause. It's the number one cause. If someone dies between the ages of 15 to 29, it's probably from suicide, because it's next is probably, I didn't look it up, a car accident. Get this one. People aged 10 to 34, and this is really depressing. Age 10 to 34. It's the second leading cause of death.
10?
Yeah. But I mean, how else did 10-year-olds die? I don't know. This is like where I got real dark in my research, and I was like, holy shit. And then I was like, well, a 10-year-old's not gonna have heart issues, or they could, but chances are they're not getting diabetes or overweight or whatever. Like, I don't know.
The factors in suicide, as by this list, there's mental illness, which makes sense. Intimate partner, something happens there, relationship falls apart. Recent crisis, physical health, problems at work, or financial problems. It's amazing that people decide for those reasons to end their own life, because they all seem correctable except for mental illness and physical health.
It's weird you say that. And financial situation. Did you know 79% of suicides occur in low to mid-income families?
People who can't dig themselves out of the trench they built, maybe?
You know the depression thing I mentioned? Like, it's like you can climb 4 feet a day if you did your best work and you did awesome, and you can really climb out of a hole, and then you realize the hole you're in is 5 miles deep. So how many days is that? Like,
I'm not gonna do that.
That's perfect days. Don't. But that's perfect days. So someone looks up and realizes there's no way out. I think very much financial problems, and we've discussed in an episode before, the people who have the least money are the most taxed. They're the most
overworked
by banks.
Yeah.
Overworked.
To get caught in a debt cycle with like credit cards, bail bonds, and cash advances.
All that stuff costs money.
More money. It's all the same factor, right? At that point.
Yeah, it kind of is. Which is depressing. They surmise that one person commits suicide every 40 seconds in the world. By 2020, at the current rate of expansion of human life and expansion of suicide, because that's on the rise, thumbs up everyone, one person every 20 seconds will commit suicide. They have hotlines and shit. We've touched on this. Call. And if you do need help, go call. We will literally say that. I would never say not to.
I might. The suicide. So the one fact I read is that the suicide lines don't really help you in the long term. Sure, right now, if you're having an issue, call. Try to figure yourself out. But if it's not working, you gotta find something else. Don't stick on the suicide lines, because in the long term, there's no appreciable difference. But right now, maybe. So don't do it. Just think about it.
Obviously, don't do it. The CDC did a report that from 2000 to 2016, the era of social media rise, suicide, at least in the United States, is up 30%. That's a lot. No, I mean, that'd be like from 1% to, what's 30%? 1 times 3. Yeah.
What was that?
It's up 30%. Well, let's say it was at 1%.
Yep.
What's that number put it at? What's 30%?
1.3%.
Okay. Yeah, that's easy, huh?
Well, you gave me the easiest math problem ever.
It doesn't sound like a lot, but 30% is it's weird. Chester Bennington, Lincoln Park, right?
Yeah, what did he commit? Suicide? Was that suicide?
Yeah. Chris Cornell, I think.
How did he do it? You gotta explain what happened.
I didn't want to give. Do you want?
I want to know. Yes.
Please do.
I don't know Bennington's. I'll talk about like Robin Williams. So
okay, how was his happen? Robin Williams, age 63 at the time.
Yeah, he was age 63. He had
60?
Yeah, he hung himself because he had Lewy body disease, which is
we don't know why anyone did anything.
This is factual. Yeah, well,
I know
his wife.
Disease doesn't.
His wife said that's why he did it, because he was slowly losing control of his own self. What?
That doesn't mean that's why he did it.
I guess that's true, because there is spin because the family could control the situation, saying it was one way or the other. He was faced with like a life of Parkinson's.
The fact that he had it is a big part of it. It could be part of it.
Yeah, you don't know what he's thinking.
Suicide, I feel like is right, 100%. He could have just stumbled upon child pornography and then been like, "This is it. I can't do this. This is ridiculous."
Yeah,
who knows?
That's a form of dementia.
By the way, he didn't. I just picked the worst thing I could think.
I don't know what he just said, but I ignored it completely, like you should.
Good. Ignore it. But I'm saying we don't know what any of these people experienced an hour before they did it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe they went to a website where it shows you kids killing themselves. Maybe they went to a website that showed you other people killing themselves. And then they were like, this is so messed up. I can't be here. I can't do this. I have no idea.
So
what if you watched 6 kids kill themselves? Age 10 and under. What would you do?
So this is my thought process. If I saw that happen, it's not like this world is so bad that I need to end myself. It's the world is so bad out there that maybe I can influence it to be better. Maybe I can prevent it in the future by being something else.
Good way to look at it.
Maybe I can have a podcast where I say that's a terrible thing and everyone should change it if they can.
It's a great idea.
It is a good idea.
Put it in your notes.
Yeah.
So is that what your final answer here? Did you look up anyone's suicide? You got Chester Bennington.
Anthony Bourdain, recent.
Yeah, he was third on my list. How old was he?
He was 61. So older. So like I'm not that old. I don't know what it feels like to be that old. I don't know how much things weigh on you.
Man, how weird is that?
You can't reset your life once you get that old. I mean, honestly, if you decided like maybe I'll have another kid at 61, holy, you're gonna be really old. I mean, you can still do it, but
not. Hold up, check this. 61 sounds old, right?
It does.
61 to 91, your whole life, practically.
Yeah,
isn't that
you
wild?
could relive a whole life.
Literally a whole life. I mean, you're older. I don't know what you can.
Yeah,
do.
I don't know if you're gonna make it. If you're Anthony Bourdain, did a lot of drugs.
True.
But yeah, he hung himself. It's kind of sad because he was filming a show with I think it was, I don't know what show it was, but he was with Eric Rapé. I don't know how to say his name, but it was a friend. And he was supposed to show up to dinner, and he didn't show up to dinner. And then he's supposed to show up to breakfast, didn't show up to breakfast. So his friend Eric was like, something's not right here. And then, in the middle of filming the show, they found out that he was dead. And he doesn't really, I don't know why he did it. I mean, all accounts, he seems like he had a good life, but you never know the dark side of people. It's the same thing, Instagram and posting the happiest parts. He said the sad parts people don't talk about.
Most of the mass shooters end up killing themselves, right? Not all of them, obviously. Most of them.
Yeah. This is a stigma that you don't want to talk about the bad parts of your life because no one wants to hear it, which is a terrible way to live life.
It is. I found out on this podcast that she committed suicide. Marilyn Monroe. I had no idea. And then you told me when you Googled it one day.
Yeah. There was a big headline in the newspaper, right? Marilyn Monroe was at pills?
Yeah. think you told me and I forgot. But I either way, I didn't know she committed suicide. Uh, Again, all of these are supposedly. If crime investigation comes in and tells us that someone made it look like a suicide, sure, I believe you.
Was
I'm not
Elvis?
here
Elvis was pills too, right?
did he die on the commode? That's so weird. That's like
I
a
think he
rumor. I heard.
did. And I think Heath Ledger died of a mix of drugs as well.
Overdose, right? So did what's her name? The girl who Brittany, no,
Amy
Brown.
Winehouse?
Well, she did, but no, I thought
Brittany
Brittany
Murphy.
did she?
I think she died of pills too. So you
Kurt
don't know the
Cobain?
stressors that people are living with their own life. I mean, maybe they're
You have no
taking the
clue
drugs
what someone's
to
living.
cope with whatever the hard work schedules or something.
Junior Seau, Hemingway, Hunter S. Thompson.
Hemingway killed himself?
Yeah. Oh my God, he's the famous one with the toe and the shotgun.
Oh, didn't they
He
disprove
set up
that?
He committed suicide. There's almost 100% on that.
Oh shit!
Whether the toe and the shotgun with the string might not be real.
I thought they said the same thing for Kurt Cobain. Kurt Cobain had a shotgun.
There's a rumor someone did that to him. But
Yeah, I don't
she's
know.
making music for Hole. We're not gonna mention her name.
Mm,
Van Gogh killed himself. Here's a crazy one. So then we get into like Sylvia Plath, Virginia Woolf, Freddie Prinze, not Freddie Prinze Jr., Chester Bennington, Chris Cornell, Anthony Bourdain, like Robin Williams, like just. I started seeing their pictures attached, and it was like sad.
some of these
And
people are really influential.
It's weird because you could look at a list of celebrities that died young, whether it was from cancer or a car accident or something, and you look and you'd feel sad. But something sadder about seeing a list of celebrities that took their own life because
Your expectations are changed because of the people that
yeah,
had a choice to do it.
and they did it. And the fact that it's on the rise in the world today, and the fact that social media is on the rise, maybe it's not a coincidence. I don't know. You said keeping up with the Joneses, having a certain look, indebting yourself. Some people find themselves so in debt they can't get out. I mean,
Yeah.
it's definitely a different world, and we're all connected. We're also taking in negative news every day because what makes the news? Positive stuff? No, everyone knows it's mostly
Shock
negative
value.
stuff. Shock value. Man has sex with 1-year-old and then burns body or something.
That's the worst thing you can think of.
It literally is the worst thing I can think of.
Yeah,
Can you think of something worse?
That's awful.
Okay.
As I was looking, it's crazy because I have this list of methods of suicide right next to me, and I'm like looking down the list. I'm like, none of those are worse than what Nick just said.
I was just thinking of the worst. There was a band whose lead guy tried to have sex with like a child under 2, and he was a
Doesn't even make sense. How is that fucking logical?
We're not getting into the logic of it. We're getting into if someone does the worst thing and takes their own life. Like I can't imagine what they're thinking. I can't be there. I can't tell them not to. I can't anything. And there's something to be said for the fact that we're making more people stay alive longer. We're making it's easier. You don't have to survive. Like think about it. You have to go outdoors and grow your own food and survive and fight off predators and survive the temperatures. No, you're keeping more people alive. So this small percentage of people who take their own lives, I don't know if they would have naturally survived. I have no idea. Keeping so many people alive. I don't know if it's right. I don't know if it affects this.
Some of the numbers for like South Korea has an aging population that is like they highly regard the family. A lot of the older people decide to commit suicide because they feel like they're a burden.
Right there, right?
Yeah, well, there is. I think that was that Japanese. I think that was Japanese. But Japanese has a similar culture where they really are intense about the community, and so I mean, these people are deciding to protect others through their own death, which seems like so backwards that you feel like you're not contributing to society, but you don't know, you can't gauge your own contributions to society.
72. You're a Japanese woman. You raised your children to full rear. You have arthritis. You can't move your hands that much. I don't know if they have Social Security there. I don't know what she's bringing in. She doesn't work anymore. The family she's with doesn't have any children that are babies anymore. She doesn't babysit. She doesn't do anything. She's there every day. She wakes up. She watches whatever's on TV. She has arthritis. She's in deep pain. She doesn't help anyone. Someone has to pay for her food. Someone has to pay for her rent. Someone has to pay for everything. What is she thinking? If it goes on for 8 years, 5 years, she's getting worse in health. She's not getting better. I don't know what she thinks. I don't know that I'd want anyone to commit suicide. I don't know that I agree with it. I'm just saying, is that what she thinks? I'd rather go off into the spirit world and face what's beyond. I have no idea. Maybe. It seems more honorable than having someone wipe your ass at 72 and pay for your rent. Your own kid who you raised, who you love, who you're literally such a financial burden on that you can see that if just you weren't around, he'd have enough money to make more money and save money and buy a bigger house and give his kids more money. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm just imagining a scenario, and I'm like, it's pretty deep. I'm not going in the woods and hanging myself, but if someone did, I don't know. Sorry to bring the podcast there.
Yeah,
if
brings
we wanted to
tear to my eye
a little bit before we really
get
crazy, I was gonna say, look, folks, we got. Ew! It's a suicide poo. Don't do it, folks. Hang in there. All different colors. You can hug it. You can.
Did a unicorn poop that?
I think a unicorn did poop that.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Makes me happy, folks. So if you check our link at the bottom, all the money will go to just us. Is that how it works?
We haven't decided yet.
It's just us. Anyway, you can check it out. I think that's awesome. And
holy crap.
I don't want to end on a downer. I don't want to be just suicide guy. I don't want to talk about that. We will get into the Russia blue whale phenomenon and the MoMA meme that was running around. Do you know about these games?
What?
I didn't want to do this. So there was a series of games in Russia social media, I believe, where it was a blue whale games, and it was like kids aged like 10 to 18, 10 to 15 would be participating in dares that you'd have to video record and upload online. And the dares got increasingly weird, like jump from your roof to the neighbor's roof, right?
No.
Well, you would keep leveling up. You get higher and higher. Your ultimate status, like more and more people are checking it out, right? Well, the last level is always usually kill yourself and record it.
Yeah.
Do it and record it. Now I think the number is closer to 10 or 7 or 9 or 14. It's really hard to find factual information. But even that is depressing. That wouldn't happen 10 years ago. Is that going to rise in 10 years from now? I imagine it is. I have no clue how to explain that it will, but social media is more important in our lives, right?
More influential. People are going to get suckered into it.
Yeah, I mean, there's other memes that run across like that. Well, it was blue whale. I think there's MoMA, the scary face with the big eyes lady. There's all sorts of these things, but they pop up, and they're mostly Fox News headlines. MoMA, check your kids' phones for blue whale symbols. Like most people in the world aren't doing this, but the fact that some are is weird. It is disturbing, and it does talk a little bit about the human condition. We're living too good of a life combined with too bad of a life. We're destroying the planet, maybe. We're headed for disaster. We're doing crazy, terrible things, but we all have super iPhones that can give us all the answers. We all have Instagrams where we can see how rich people eat dinner. It's a weird connection, and I think that's what's causing this.
Would you say when you get so sad that you get really, really hungry?
No.
No?
Would you?
All the time.
No, I've never been hungry when I'm
Sometimes I just get so upset that I feel like a big bowl of strawberries, and I just eat those fresh strawberries and contemplate my own existence while crying.
Are you telling me you would cry while eating?
Yes.
Are you saying
there should be a website dedicated to this?
Are you saying back around 2003 to 2007,
Yeah.
you may have been able to find such a website that was made back in the early days that was called Eating While Crying?
I was crying while eating.
Ah, crying while eating. Good Lord. If anyone remembers crying while eating, that's incredible.
That was always, whenever I was upset, I would always watch that person cry while they ate a fresh bowl of strawberries and contemplating their own existence. It's hard.
Do you think it was? Do you think it was all set up like to be humorous? Like, I guess.
I don't know how you could catch somebody in that moment of contemplation.
With video camera at the time. That's a good point.
What is that? It's a trill. Something's trilling. Is there your poop coming alive?
No, I was trying to show everyone else like a happy-go-lucky.
Things. You just killed it. I don't know.
It worked yesterday. Anyway, folks, buy this fun guitar dog that goes. I can't believe it's not working because I'm live. I'm gonna get real depressed real quick, folks.
Don't get so angry. Don't break it.
Oh, shit. My kid's old enough. I can tell him the truth. I destroyed his toy live podcast. I'm really getting mad. You have no clue. It literally worked yesterday. It would make this noise and then stop. Anyway.
Oh, man.
Don't get depressed. Don't be sad. Don't be caught up in the Instagram problem that's going around us. Go to Twitter and
social media skew.
Oh, good word. Anyway, go on Twitter and make I can't wait to die memes. That's the future. Make them in jest though, because for serious, if you have mental issues or you're feeling really, really down, there's other solutions. We talked about being 61 and like wanting the end. Think about it. You live to 91. 30 more years. They're going to come out with at least 2 Tool CDs. You're going to have
whole new Harry Potter.
Way more Harry Potter. You're going to have, it's a really good movie, which we never talk about, is superhero, but not. They did Infinity War, but they were like the shoot off. They didn't have a comic beforehand.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, but that's fantastic.
I am Groot.
Oh, you're talking about Guardians of the Galaxy?
Thank you, Guardians. I kept saying Avengers of the Galaxy. I was like, that's wrong.
That is wrong.
Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy. They're going to come up with new ones. I think that's awesome. It's one of my favorite movies that I've seen in the past 5 years. It's really good. I almost cry. And I feel like they're original characters. So that's antidepressing. The other thing is fight your depression with routine, set goals, exercise, eat healthy, sleep, take on responsibility, challenge negative thoughts, and something new.
Yeah.
Is that what you were going to say?
Loneliness, lulls, dropping out of school, don't do it. Freshman year, changes, college, high school, homesickness. If you haven't, changed a new location, you got to do something different.
People get into all sorts of drugs and alcohol when they get depressed. It's just what they do.
Antidepressants on the rise. Luxury cars. Light up.
What people get into. I don't know. Who cares? Don't do alcohol. Don't do drugs.
Don't listen to the outside world. Just figure it out. You'll get it there. Or go to a counselor.
Talk to real people. And mostly talk to us.
Mainly Nick.
We answer right away in our socials. Right away.
What are you looking at?
I was waiting for you to say the socials had something going on.
Oh, we have socials?
No, don't read it.
I won't. I'm not going to pander.
Anyway, folks, we like you. We like you a lot. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for staying with us. And thanks.
Don't worry. Be happy.